What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is CJUFCPicks, the Smoke Sesh. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Subscribe, it's free. Like the video, it's free. It only takes 2 seconds to like the video, 2 seconds to subscribe, and comment on the video. Help your boy out with the algorithm. Comment on the video who your picks are, your underdog, your lock of the card, who you think is going to win the fights. Comment on the video down below and help me out, help the video out, and subscribe. You already know what to do. CJUFC picks on all social media platforms: TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. I'm everywhere, so follow me on all my social media platforms. Thank you so much to all the new subscribers. I really appreciate it, and I also appreciate all the old school subscribers that keep tuning in and watching my show. I really appreciate it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, and we hope you enjoy this show. We are going to do a breakdown, picks, and predictions for UFC 294 Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski for the UFC Lightweight Championship of the World, Part 2, ladies and gentlemen. This is a rematch. Their first match was incredible. It was a great fight, and I expect the same for the second fight here on UFC 294. A loaded, stacked card, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of great fights on this card, so do not miss it. And it's an early card, which is great. I don't gotta stay up late. Here in the Northeast, usually pay-per-views start up at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, but not for UFC 294. We get a special start time for 10 a.m. I love it. But before we do the breakdown, before we give you our picks, let's do a little small recap for UFC Vegas 81 Youssef versus Barbosa, which was a pretty good card. A lot of unexpected picks that did not hit for me. I did not do good. I do not do well for UFC Vegas 81. No bueno for me. 5-6. 5-6, ladies and gentlemen. That hasn't happened to me in a very long time. For the last 3.5 months, I have been killing it back to back to back to back to back weeks of winning UFC, of getting the picks correct. But unfortunately, that streak has come to an end for UFC Vegas 81. The picks that I won were Ducote, Gutierrez, McKinney, Michel Pajeda, which was my lock of the card, and Edson Barbosa, which I did pick to win the fight. Those five fighters did win for me. They did win some money for me, and I did win those picks. Alex Silva, man, she shit the bed for me. Vervena Oliveira, I picked her to win. The reason I picked Vervena Oliveira to win was because she was a huge underdog. She has knockout power, and that was a close fight. If you saw that fight last night, that was a close fight. So that fight could have gone either way. T.J. Brown, man, he disappointed me, man. I mean, Darren Elkins, he's still a junkyard dog. He still got it. He can fight for your money, and I should have picked him. I did have a little feeling that that fight was going to go for Darren Elkins, but TJ Brown's age, the youth, that is what got me to picking him, and I should have went with Darren Elkins, but that's okay. Adrian Yanez, man, he needs work on his defense. He really does need work on his defense. The kid still got it. I think he still has a future in the UFC. He's only 29 years old, so he's still growing and he's still learning. So, Adrian Yanez, I still like you, man, but you disappointed me in your last two fights, man. So, you got to step it up. Step it up. Cameron Simon, he was my dog of the card, and unfortunately, that did not hit for me. I did not get that pick correct. C Rod, Christian Rodriguez, man, he's the real deal. He's a stud. He might be a future champion in the bantamweight division. Look out for C Rod. I faded him the last two of his fights, And you can bet your ass I'm not going to fade him in his next fight because that dude is a problem. And Jennifer Maya, man, Jennifer Maya, she should have won that fight. That fight should have been hers, but Viviana Araujo did win. She pulled out the victory. I did not expect that. So I'll give it up to Viviana Araujo. Maya disappointed me, but that's okay. We move on. We're going to do good on this card. We're going to get at least 10 picks correct. 10 W's for all of you for free. So before I do the breakdown, before I give you my picks for UFC 294, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like the video and comment on the video, like I said in the beginning. And also, light one up. It's time for the smoke sesh with your boy CJUFCPicks. We got some fire weed here. It's called Cold as Ice. Never heard of it, never tried it. This is my first time trying it with you all. For UFC 294, Makhachev versus Volkanovski. This card is stacked. First fight of the night, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's middleweight division. We got Bruno Silva versus Sharabutdin Magomedov. Bruno Silva, he's 23 and died, 34 years old, 6 foot even, 74-inch reach. Sharabutdin Magomedov, he's 11 and 0, 29 years old, 6 foot 2. His reach is unavailable. I believe Sharabutdin Magomedov is making his UFC debut. Bruno Silva, he's coming in as an underdog here, plus 165. Sharabutdin Magomedov, undefeated 11 and 0, coming in at minus 200 favorite. That scares me a little bit because he's making his UFC debut, and Bruno Silva does have more experience. He's fought tougher competition, and he is a decent fighter. He does have knockout power. Bruno Silva has lost the last 3 out of his 5 fights, so that's not a good look. I can understand why he's coming in as an underdog. In his last fight, he did lose to Brendan Allen, which is not a bad loss. Brendan Allen is a very good fighter. His last win was against Brad Tavares by knockout TKO, which is not bad. Brad Tavares is a decent fighter. He did lose to submission to Jared Mearshart, which is not a good look. Jared Mearshart, he's a journeyman, let's be honest. And he did lose to Alex Pereira, which is also not a bad look. And then he won against Jordan Wright by knockout TKO. So his last 2 wins were by knockout TKO. So you already know he's got knockout power. Sharahara making his debut. Most of his wins are by finish, by knockout TKO. He's 11 and 0. He's a Russian, and he's got that famous OV in his last name, the of Magomedov or Nurmagomedov. He just got the famous OV in the last name, and we all know these Russians are freaking good, man. They're top notch, and they're pretty good everywhere the fight goes. Bruno Silva, though, he can come out with a upset victory in this fight. But I think this is going to be a setup fight for Sharabutdin Magomedov. I saw some of his tape, and that dude is a killer. He's undefeated for a reason. He won against a guy that's 21 and 5, which is pretty damn good. 27 and 21, 14 and 5, 16 and 4. So he's fought some cans, and he's fought some decent guys. But that's the regional scene, right? Much more different than UFC. UFC has tougher competition. He's fighting under the bright lights, and this is a pay-per-view card. Even though it's the prelims, this is a pay-per-view card, so he can have some jitters. This fight can go either way, actually. This fight should be closer than the number says. I'm staying away money line wise, but I think I'm going with the Russian. I think this fight is not going a distance, so that's a good play. Under 2.5 rounds is a good play. I'm going with Sharabutdin Magomedov to win by knockout TKO in this fight. But I'm not betting his money line. I'm only betting the under 2.5 rounds. Hopefully we get a good line on that one. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the women's strawweight division, and I believe this is the only women's fight on this card. We have Jinh Frey versus Victoria Dudakova. Jinh Frey, she's 11 and 9, 38 years old, 5'3", 65-inch reach. Victoria Dudakova, 7 and 0, 24 years old, 5'5", with a 67-inch reach. Jinh Frey coming in at plus 290 underdog. Victoria Dudakova coming in at minus 375 favorite. Um, I think that line is a little too wide because Victoria Dudakova isn't that proven yet. She's only had one fight in the UFC, and she did have that contender series fight, which went to decision against Maria Silva, and then she had a win against Estela Nunes, but Estela Nunes had that freak injury, dislocated her elbow there, which was not a great injury for Estela Nunes. I hope she recovers because Estela Nunes is a good fighter. But Victoria Dudakova, she's decent, you know. Jinh Frey, though, she's old, man. Almost 39 years old. She's lost her last three fights. She lost against Vanessa Demopoulos, she lost against Polyana Viana, and she lost against Elise Reed. Not a good look. Jinh Frey is not UFC caliber in my opinion. She's 11 and 9 compared to Victoria Dudakova, undefeated at 7 and 0. I was considering on parlaying Victoria, but I'm actually gonna stay away from her money line because I think this fight might go to a decision, might go over 2.5. That's a good play in my opinion because both of these girls are not finishers. Um, Even though Victoria does have some finishes on her record, but I think Jinh Frey is tough enough to outlast Victoria here. I might be wrong, but Victoria's gonna win this fight either way. So give me Victoria Dudakova to win this fight however she wants. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's featherweight division, we have Nathaniel Wood versus Mohammad Naimov. Nathaniel Wood, he's 19 and 5, 30 years old, 5'6", 69-inch reach. Mohammad Naimov, he is 9 and 2, 29 years old, 5'9", 70-inch reach. This is gonna be a good fight for a prelim fight. Very good fight for a prelim fight. Both of these guys are very good prospects. Both of these guys are very young. Both of these guys will fight for your money. Nathaniel Wood, he is a minus 310 favorite. And Muhammad Naimov, he's a plus 250 underdog. Here we go with another OV, another OV in the last name. Muhammad Naimov only has one fight in the UFC, but he did win against Jamie Malarkey, which is a good look. I think that's a good win for him because that was his debut, and he knocked him out. And then Nathaniel Wood, he's on a tear right now. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. He's won against Charles Rosa, he's won against Charles Jourdan, and he's won against Andre Fili. All good wins. But he's a decision fighter, you know. He's a decision fighter. He's fought tougher competition, and he's got more experience. He's a tough fighter with very good cardio. Muhammad Naimov, he can finish you. His last two wins were by knockout, but I gotta go with the more experienced fighter here with the better cardio, better grappling. Mohammad Naimov probably has more power, but Nathaniel Wood is gonna be faster, better cardio, more experience. I gotta go with Nathaniel Wood to win this fight, probably by decision. I think he's gonna tire Mohammad Naimov out. I think Mohammad Naimov is gonna try knocking Nathaniel Wood out, and he's gonna get tired, and Wood is just gonna evade him the whole fight, and then he's gonna win. I think he's gonna win this fight. Nathaniel Wood to win either by decision. Maybe he can finish him, but either way, I think Nathaniel Wood wins this fight, and that's my pick. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's lightweight division, we have Anshul Jubli versus Mike Breeden. Anshul Jubli, he's undefeated at 7-0. 28 years old, 6 foot even, 69-inch reach. Mike Breeden, he's 10-6, 34 years old, 5 foot 10, 70-inch reach. And this is gonna be an easy pick, easy lock. I might make this guy my lock of the card. And before I give you my I can't even talk. Before I give you my pick, my lock of the card and my dog of the card, which I do every single week, is on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. So follow me on all of those platforms. CJUFCPicks. It's free. I give you free locks. I give you free underdogs. And most of the time, I do hit them. So, Anshul Jubli coming in at a minus 400 favorite compared to Mike Breeden at plus 310 underdog. Mike Breeden riding a 3-fight losing skid. Major red flag. Doesn't look good for him. Anshul Jubli undefeated at 7-0. And this guy is a problem, and I think he's going to win this fight. He's going to knock out or submit Mike Breeden. I think Anshul Jubli gets this done easily inside the distance. And unfortunately for Mike Breeden, I think he's going to get cut after this fight. I don't think Mike Breeden is UFC caliber at all. I think he's going to get cut after this fight. Mike Breeden, man, you're done. Anshul Jubli is going to finish you in this fight. And that's my pick, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty damn confident. And like I said, I might make him my lock of the card. Speaking of locks, speaking of underdogs, this is going to be an interesting fight. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the middleweight division, we have Sedriques Dumas versus Abu Azaitar. Sedriques Dumas, he's 8-1. 28 years old, 6 foot 2, 79-inch reach. Then we got Abu Azaitar. He's 14-3-1. 37 years old, 5 foot 9, 76-inch reach. I do not see why Sedriques Dumas is such a favorite. 170 favorite. I don't think he deserves that line. I know he's 8-1. He did win his last fight against Cody Brundage, but Cody Brundage is not that good. And he lost against Josh Fremd. That's not a good loss. Josh Fremd is not a good UFC fighter. He did win his Contender Series fight. I mean, Contender Series are pretty much all regional fighters, so I don't really consider that a big win for him. Abu Azaitar, 14-3. He does have more experience. I mean, he's only had 2 UFC fights. Same thing with Sedriques Dumas, so they have the same UFC experience. But in terms of record, Abu Azaitar has more fights. He is 37, almost 38 years old, so that is a little bit worrisome. And Sedriques Dumas does have the youth advantage, the height advantage, and the reach advantage. And I always say that I like when fighters have more advantages than their opponent. I mean, Sedriques Dumas, he's not that good of a fighter, let's be honest. He's 8-1, but his record is a little bit padded in my opinion. He's fought cans, in my opinion. This is gonna be a close fight in my opinion. I was tempted to take the underdog, but his last fight was almost 3 years ago, 2 years and 6 months ago, and he lost by knockout to Mark Andre Boreal. Sedriques Dumas has been the more active fighter, so I gotta go with Sedriques Dumas. Like I said, I like the I like the more youth factor. He's got the reach advantage, height advantage. He's been more active. So give me Sedriques Dumas to win. I think he's gonna knock him out. Unfortunately, to for Azaitar. Azaitar, almost 38 years old, lost his last fight. 2 years layoff. Bunch of red flags for me. So yeah, give me Sedriques Dumas to win. Might stay away though. I might just enjoy this fight as a fan because I don't trust Sedriques Dumas. Like I said, he's not that great. So I'm not gonna put my money on him, but I am gonna pick him to win this fight. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's bantamweight division. This is gonna be a really fun fight. We have Javid Basharat versus Victor Henry. Javid Basharat, he's undefeated at 14-0. He's 28 years old, 5'9" with a 69-inch reach. Victor Henry, he's 23 and 6, 36 years old, 5'7" with a 68-inch reach. Javid Basharat, he said he got minus 425 favorite. Victor Henry plus 325 underdog. That's a huge line right there. But I get it. Javid Basharat, he's been looking very good. He's undefeated at 14-0. He's won his 3 UFC fights that he's been in. He's won against Trevor Jones. He won against Tony Gravely, and he won against Matuz Mendoka. All good wins, all good looks for Javid Basharat. Victor Henry, he's lost the last 2 out of his 3 fights, so that's not too bad. His age though, he's almost 37 years old. He's gonna have more experience though. He's got 29 fights on his record. But Javid Basharat, man, he's a stud. He's a very good fighter. Basharat brothers are the truth. And I think Javid Basharat is going to win this fight either by decision or by submission. I think Javid Basharat gets it done pretty damn easy. I might make him my lock of the card. I got a couple locks on this card, but I got to pick one. So if you want to find out who my lock is, go over to my Twitter, go over to my Instagram, go over to my TikTok, CJUFCPicks. I post it every week. And Javid Basharat might be it. He might be it. He's going to win this fight. Minus 425 favorite. Can't really play that straight up because you're not going to win much back. But he is a parlay piece, and I think he gets it done by decision or by submission. So that's my pick, and I'm pretty damn confident on it. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's lightweight division, we have Mohammad Yahya versus Trevor Peak. Mohammad Yahya versus he's 12-3. He's 5'9" with a 73-inch reach, but his age is unavailable. Trevor Peak, he's 8-1, 28 years old, 5'9", 70-inch reach. We all know Trevor Peak is a wild man. He goes for it in every single one of his fights. He always goes for the finish. He throws wild strikes and he just goes out there and tries to finish you. He's 8-1. He lost his last fight though to Chepe Mariscal. Yahya though, he's 12-3. He's been on a tear lately, but he's never been in the UFC. He hasn't fought one UFC fight compared to Trevor Peak. He's fought in the UFC 3 times, so this is his 4th fight in the UFC. He's been in the octagon before. He's been under the bright lights, and this is a pick 'em. This can go either way, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know who to pick for this fight. I'm staying far, far away, money line wise. Might bet the under. I don't know, because Muhammad Yahya, he does have some finishes. He has submissions on his record, and he's got a KO on his record as well. But Trevor Peak, man, I just don't like the way he fights. He's too wild for me, man. He doesn't have technique. He doesn't have no technique. He just wants to go for the finish at all times. And he tires himself out. He gasses himself out. I might go with Muhammad Yahya here, man. I think he's going to get it done. I think he's going to be tough. I think he's going to come in there. He's going to have the home field advantage because he's from the United Arab Emirates. So he's definitely going to have the home field advantage. I think he's going to have better cardio, better technique, and he's got the reach advantage, which is good. 3-inch reach advantage there. I'm not betting him though. I'm not going to bet this line at all. I'm staying far away from this fight. I might not bet the under either because this can go to the decision. But give me Muhammad Yahya to win either by a decision or by a submission. And I think he's going to impress a lot of people. He's number 22 in the Middle East, which is not bad, you know. But Trevor Peak does have the UFC experience. See, like, I'm going back and forth on this fight, so do not go with my pick here. I'm not sure who's going to win this fight, but my gut and my heart is going for Muhammad Yahya to win the fight by decision. The next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is a sneaky banger fight and is scheduled to be the featured prelim in the men's flyweight division. We have Tim Elliott versus Muhammad Mokaev. Tim Elliott, he's 19, 12, and 1, 36 years old, 5'7", 66-inch reach. Muhammad Mokaev, he's undefeated at 9 and 0, 23 years old, 5'7", 70-inch reach. Tim Elliott, he's been in the UFC for a long, long time. He has fought the tougher competition, and he's coming in at plus 370 underdog. I think this line is way too wide. Muhammad Mokaev, he's minus 490. And he had a close fight against Jafel Filho. He almost got submitted in that fight, man. He also had a close fight against Malcolm Gordon. All his fights have been close, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm not sure why he's coming in at such a high odds. This fight should be closer than the number says. I think Muhammad Mokaev should be like a minus 200, minus 250, something like that. Tim Elliott is not a bad fighter. I mean, I know he's got 12 losses on his record, but his last win was against Victor Altamirano 3 months ago, and then he won against Tagir Ulanbekov, which is a good win. He lost against Matus Nicolau. Matus Nicolau is a good fighter. That's not a bad loss. And his last loss was almost 2 years ago. Then he won against Jordan Espinoza. I don't think he's in the UFC anymore. And he won against Ryan Benoit. Man, I am so tempted to make Tim Elliott my dog of the card. I always give a dog of the card, ladies and gentlemen. Muhammad Mokaev, don't get me wrong, he's a good fighter, but like I said, his last few fights have been pretty close. And he almost got submitted in his last fight. That knee bar, man, that knee bar that Jafel Filho had was freaking deep. He almost broke his knee apart. He would probably end his career. But Muhammad Mokaev is a tough bastard, man. He's a good wrestler, great grappling. He's got the youth experience, 23 years old. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage. And like I said, Tim Elliott, 37 years old, but This line is way too wide for me, man. Give me the underdog. I don't care what y'all say. Give me Tim Elliott to win this fight. I think he's going to get it done, ladies and gentlemen. The dude is tough. He's fought the tougher competition. Mohammad Mokaev is only 9-0. He's number 9, top 10 in this division, but Tim Elliott is number 11. So he's not too far off in the rankings. Do not sleep on this pick. Do not sleep on Tim Elliott. I think Tim Elliott might pull out the victory, ladies and gentlemen. My heart is pumping, man. Give me Tim Elliott, because I think I'm going to look sharp and come out with the victory, with the dog slip. Tim Elliott to win this fight. I have a really good feeling about that. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is on the main card. We have made it to the main card for UFC 294. Before I give you my main card picks, make sure to subscribe. Light one up. We got some fire weed going on right here, ladies and gentlemen. Giving you fire picks, a fire breakdown as always. Last card I do not do too good, but give me a break. I gave y'all 3.5 months of great picks, great bets, and I'm going to bounce back on this card. The first fight on the main card is scheduled in the men's bantamweight division. We got Said Nurmagomedov versus Muin Gafurov. So both of these guys got the OV in their last name, and this is going to be a good fight. This is going to be a banger. Said Nurmagomedov, he's 17-3, 31 years old, 5'8", 70-inch reach. Muin Gafurov, he's 18-5, 27 years old, 5'7", 68-inch reach. This is going to be a good fight. Said Nurmagomedov, he's coming in at -205 favorite. Muin Gafurov, he's coming in at +165 underdog. Before his last loss to Jonathan Martinez, Said Nurmagomedov was on a tear. He was on a 4-fight winning streak there. And that was a close fight, because that went to a decision. We all know Jonathan Martinez has the nastiest kicks we have ever seen in the bantamweight division. That dude has some really nasty kicks. And he survived to a decision. So we know that Said Nurmagomedov is tough. We know he's good. Muin did lose to a decision loss to John Castaneda. He won against Diego Silva. He won against... Oh, that was named in the UFC. That's in the LFA. So he's only had one fight in the UFC, and that was almost 2 months ago. That's a fast turnaround for Muin. Yeah, I gotta go with Said here. I think Said's gonna have this in the bag. -205, not a bad line. I might take him. I might put him in a parlay. Give me Said Nurmagomedov to win either by submission or a decision. We know that Said Nurmagomedov has good submissions. He has also not knockout power. He's fought the tougher competition. He's been in the UFC longer. Give me Said Nurmagomedov all day, man. -205, not a bad line there. I would grab him in a parlay, absolutely. After this show, I'm going to look for a fighter to put him in a parlay with. Maybe with Javid Basharat. That's a good parlay. Said Nurmagomedov for Javid Basharat. I like that. I might bet that. I want to know what the line is. I can't look it up right now because I'm giving y'all picks, but yeah, I like that. Give me that parlay. Said Nurmagomedov for Javid Basharat, and I think Said Nurmagomedov wins that fight easily. Easily. Good fight right there, though. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's middleweight division, we have Ikram Aliskerov versus Warlley Alves. Ikram Aliskerov, he's 14-1, 30 years old, 6 foot even, 76-inch reach. Warlley Alves, He is 14 and 6, 32 years old, 5'11", 72-inch reach. Ikram Aliskerov, he's been on a tear. He's only has one loss. He's never lost in the UFC yet. He's only had one fight though, and that was against Phil Haas, and he knocked him out, man. Very brutal knockout right there. This dude is a monster. He looks like a monster to me. He's got the famous OV, as we've been talking about this whole card, this whole fight. A lot of OVs on this card. Warlley Alves, though, coming in at plus 320 underdog. He's lost his last two fights to Jeremiah Wells and to Nicholas Dalby. And unfortunately, Warlley Alves, I think you're going to get knocked out here with Ikram Aliskerov. I think Ikram has this in the bag. Pretty easy win, pretty easy lock. I might make Ikram my lock of the card. There's so many locks on this card, ladies and gentlemen. There's so much money to make on this card, so many bets that you can make. Man, I can't wait till those props come out. Prop specials are where you make your money, ladies and gentlemen. Give me Ikram Aliskerov to win by knockout and probably going to be in the first round. Warlley Alves, I'm sorry. Gotta fade you here, man. You lost your last two fights and you went to a split decision to Nicholas Dalby. I don't think that's a good look. Give me Ikram Aliskerov to win. Very easy pick. Very easy win for him, in my opinion. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is a certified banger. And I don't expect this fight to go the distance. This is going to be fireworks. Scheduled in the men's light heavyweight division, we have Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. Magomed Ankalaev, he's 18-1-1, 31 years old, 6'3", 75-inch reach. Johnny Walker, he's 21-7, 31 years old, 6'6", 82-inch reach. Very interesting fight. Both fighters go for the finish. Both fighters very exciting. This is going to be a very good fight, and probably whoever wins this fight is next in line for a championship fight. Magomed Ankalaev, he's coming in at minus 345 favorite. Johnny Walker, plus 270 underdog. I think that line is a little too wide, considering how Johnny Walker has been looking in his last three fights. He's finished Ian Cutelaba, but Ian Cutelaba is trash. We all know that. He's finished Paul Craig. Paul Craig, he's a wishy-washy fighter. And he also won against Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith, he's a veteran. He's a warrior. He has a lot of fights on his record. And that was 4 months ago. But he's been looking good in his last three fights. Magomed Ankalaev, though, he's never lost in the UFC. And he went to a split decision to the former light heavyweight champion, Jan Blachowicz. He went against Anthony Smith. He knocked him out. He went to a decision to Thiago Santos, which is a good win. He also won against Volkan Ozdemir and also against Nikita Krylov. I gotta go with Magomed Ankalaev to win this fight and possibly by decision because Johnny Walker is a tough fighter. I think he can tough it out and last 3 rounds with Magomed Ankalaev, but I think Magomed Ankalaev is a favorite for a reason here. The line is a little too wide, so throw Magomed Ankalaev in your parlays. I'm 85% confident in that pick because Johnny Walker, like I said, he's been looking really good in his last three fights. But I think Magomed Ankalaev is just a bit better than Johnny Walker anywhere the fight goes. So give me Magomed Ankalaev, 85% confident in that pick. And I think he's going to get it done by decision. But we've seen Johnny Walker get knocked out before, and we've seen him get finished. So I wouldn't be surprised if Magomed Ankalaev finishes Johnny Walker. But yeah, give me Magomed Ankalaev to win this fight. Very good fight right there, folks. Speaking of good fights, ladies and gentlemen, this next fight is a straight up fire fight banger co-main event for UFC 294. We have Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev. Very good fight, ladies and gentlemen. Kamaru Usman coming in on short notice. He's 20 and 3, 36 years old, 6 foot even, 76-inch reach. Khamzat Chimaev, he's undefeated at 12 and 0, 29 years old, 6 foot 2, with a 75-inch reach. Kamaru Usman coming in at 2 plus 235 underdog, riding a 2-fight losing streak. He's lost twice to the current middleweight champion, the current welterweight champion, Leon Edwards. So he is coming up a weight class here, Kamaru Usman. Khamzat Chimaev, undefeated at 12 and 0. He has not lost yet. He's dominated everyone besides Gilbert Burns. He's dominated everyone besides him in his UFC fights. That was a close fight, but Khamzat Chimaev did win in my opinion. And I think he's going to win here, folks. Minus 290 is not a bad line for Khamzat Chimaev. I would throw him in any of your parlays with a 95% confident. 95% confidence, because Kamaru Usman has fought too tough a competition. Kamaru Usman is a former welterweight champion. Kamaru Usman was on a tear before those two losses to Leon Edwards. But he's almost 37 years old. He's slowing down, if you noticed, in his last few fights. His knees are not too good. We all have heard that his knees are in really bad shape. Khamzat Chimaev is a monster, ladies and gentlemen. He has very good wrestling, very good grappling. He's got KO power. He's the future of the UFC. And he's only 29 years old. He's going to be a future champion, in my opinion. I got to go with Khamzat Chimaev to win and continue being undefeated. He's going to be 13 and 0. Give me Khamzat Chimaev to win. And I think he's going to get it done inside the distance. I really do think he's going to finish Usman here. He's going to do it by knockout or submission. I guarantee it. He's going to get it done inside the distance. And I'm going to play that line. I can't wait for those props to come out. Very confident in that pick. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is the main event of the evening for UFC 294, Makhachev versus Volkanovski 2. Before I give you my pick, before I give you the breakdown, make sure to subscribe to CJUFCPicks. It's free. It only takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds to like the video. 4 seconds of your life to support your boy, giving you fire picks, smoking that fire weed each and every single week, right here on YouTube, or on TikTok, or on Twitter, or on Instagram. So follow us on there, CJUFCPicks. We appreciate your support. And here's the next fight, scheduled in the lightweight division. This is for the UFC Lightweight Championship of the World. This is going to be a very good fight. This is a rematch, ladies and gentlemen, and their last fight was incredible. It was a very good fight, very close fight. It could have gone either way, in my opinion. And this is going to be a good fight, ladies and gentlemen. A rematch here. Islam Makhachev, he's 24 and 1, 32 years old, 5'10", 70.5 inch reach. Then we got Alexander Volkanovski. He's 26 and 2, 35 years old, 5'6", 71.5 inch reach. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a very good, very close fight. Volkanovski coming in on short notice, ladies and gentlemen. I respect that out of him. And Islam Makhachev, we all know he's good. We all know he has good wrestling. We all know that he's got a great fighting style. He's the current champion. He's never lost in the UFC. But that last fight with Volkanovski 7 months ago was very close. That's the only fight that Makach or Volkanovski has lost in his last 5 fights. Volkanovski, man, he's been looking like a monster, man, in his last few fights. Even in his fight in his first fight with Islam Makhachev, man, he almost won. He had him a couple times, but he made some little mistakes. Coming in at short notice is a little bit of a red flag because he didn't have a full camp. He didn't fully prepare, but he is the current featherweight champion, so he stays ready. And he finished Yahya Rodriguez. And I told everyone Volkanovski was going to finish Yahya Rodriguez. And we all know Yahya Rodriguez is championship material. We all know Yahya Rodriguez is a good fighter. He also won against the featherweight GOAT, supposedly Max Holloway. He also finished Chan Sung Young, the Korean zombie. He also won against Brian Ortega. Man, Islam Makhachev won against Charles Oliveira. He won against Bobby Green, Dan Hooker, Thiago Moises. Both of these guys are top tier fighters. Both of these guys are very extremely good in their craft. This fight can go either way, but I gotta go with Islam Makhachev to win this fight by decision. I don't think he can finish Alexander Volkanovski. I think Volkanovski is one of the toughest, if not the toughest fighter in the featherweight division. Stepping up on short notice. Maybe he gets it done by submission, but I don't think so because Volkanovski is one of the toughest fighters in UFC, period. But I think either way, Islam Makhachev gets it done and goes 2-0 against Volkanovski. And the only reason I'm picking Makhachev is because of the short notice step up for Alexander Volkanovski. But like I said, champions stay ready. So if Volkanovski wins, I'm gonna be happy because I am rooting for Volkanovski to win this fight. But I gotta go with my heart. I gotta go with my gut. I gotta go with my head, my mind. I gotta go with the more accurate pick, Islam Makhachev, and I'm 75% sure in that pick. There's a 25% chance that Alexander Volkanovski can pull off the upset victory, and if he does, I will not be mad at that because the dude is one of the greatest fighters in the UFC. So give me Islam Makhachev to win, and I think he gets it done by decision, maybe submission. Who knows? Because, like I said, Volkanovski is one of the toughest fighters, and I think he can go to a decision with Makhachev. So I think Makhachev wins the fight. And that was the breakdown, ladies and gentlemen. UFC 294 is going to be stacked. It's going to be loaded. It's going to be a lot of great fights, a lot of money to be made. And if you like the breakdown, if you like the picks, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like the video and comment who you got for UFC 294. We appreciate you tuning in, and we hope you join us next week for the next card. And have a great night. Take care. Take care.